And we are back, folks. What's up, everybody? Colby Marshall here with Zach Lanning on the Drink Up Podcast, episode 6. Really excited to be back, Zach. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm really looking forward. We're starting to get some games going on the college side of things. Things are starting to pick up. The fall is in the air. Do you feel it?
It's always good to have games. Always good to be. There's nothing like preseason rugby.
Right.
Preseason, before the season starts, getting accustomed to your teammates, getting out on those two-a-days. I know it hurts, but something about it, something in the air, like you said, something about it is just so, you need it.
I definitely miss those days. Those were a lot of fun. We get in early, usually before classes even start too, get out on that pitch.
Oh, yeah.
It's good stuff, man. It's wow. Now I'm just sad. Now I'm just like nostalgic at the beginning of the podcast. I miss those days, but we'll live vicariously through some of the players this season that we go through.
Maybe we can have our own little preseason, but before we do the podcast, get up together, train via, maybe have each other on Zoom, get our naps in and our naps, get some food, and then have that preseason feel on the podcast.
That's a fantastic idea. I love everything about that. Well, let's just go. We'll rent like some Airbnb somewhere. We'll just live there for a while. Like we'll do our practice reps with audio. We'll just start, talking. I love it. I'm in. I'm sold.
All right, bet.
But let's get into a little bit of the news here. To start off, we haven't practice this transition because we didn't do our training camp this year, but we'll get better at it once we do that next summer. But we'll get into the big container section here, the news of the show. Big container, as we go forward here, just want to mention we're going to do this kind of in partnership with Rugby Morning, the Rugby Morning newsletter, which if you aren't subscribed yet, you should definitely subscribe as soon as possible. I would say pause this podcast even and go subscribe now and then come back and finish the listen. It's a huge help for any rugby fan who's looking to get a good rundown of the news first thing in the morning. The Rugby Morning newsletter they put out goes right in your inbox. You can subscribe at rugbymorning.com. So, a lot of the news that we get for the show is from there. The guy who runs it, John Fitzpatrick, does a great job of kind of curating everything that's out there in the rugby world. And we're going to be featured on that newsletter going forward as well through the college season. So, stay tuned for that. A lot of great cross-promotional opportunities here, Colby. A lot of synergy. Some corporate buzzwords we can use for that.
Synergy, I like that.
Yeah, so it's going to be good going forward. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to that newsletter as well. But to get into the news, the big container, first thing for me, Colby, the Patriots cut Cam Newton this morning. I think he has a promising career as a New England Free Jack if he wants to make that switch over into the rugby world. What do you think about that?
I love it, Zach. Cam Newton playing rugby, give me that. I will take that any day of the week. New England, what do they have to lose? They didn't have a great season last year. What do they have to lose bringing on a guy like Cam Newton? You're going to, first of all, bring great publicity to the league, right? You're going to get a whole lot more fans, and you're getting a bona fide athlete, professional athlete that can do some things. And I'm sure he has a history of being outspoken, wanting to do his own thing. But I'm sure he's somebody that is willing to learn, at this point.
Yeah, I would say for sure. I think he has obviously the physical traits are there already. You just get the ball in his hand, let him run. He could play probably more than half the positions on the field. And what else is he going to do? He's got plenty of time to learn the game. There's former Pats who own part owners of that team, the Free Jacks. Like he's got connections with guys that, he played with probably in New England last year. So yeah, I think it's perfect. It's a done deal for me. There's no reason not to do it at this point, but
Cam, if you're listening, bro, give it a try.
I'm sure he's an avid listener of the pod, or anybody who knows him or has seen him in like a Dunkin' Donuts in New England anywhere. Just make sure you pass this along to him. Tell him that we think it's a great idea. But, in rugby news, Colby, I guess we could talk about, specific rugby stuff. I want to highlight one move that I think was interesting that popped up. Just you can see it on Rugby Morning newsletter as well. But Carly Waters, the scrum half for the USA Eagles 15s team, has signed with Saracens women over in Europe. So she'll be playing, her kind of pro ball at Saracens in this upcoming season. She, obviously a great career so far with the U.S., had a wonderful college career with 3 15s national titles at Penn State and then 1 in 7s also. There have been a lot of players who are going to play in that European League, especially on the women's side, Colby, because there really is not a comparable I would say league, I guess, talent-wise here in the States so far. You have the Women's Premier League that unfortunately wasn't able to play a season because of COVID recently. So you're seeing a lot of this top talent head over to Europe to play, which is great for their development. But, you'd kind of like to see something like that here in the States. I think we could really own that aspect of the women's game.
Yeah, you'd love to see that. Especially, we're actually seeing in the sevens realm, the National League Sevens tryout next weekend in Memphis, Tennessee. So that's exciting. But yeah, we'd love to see more exposure for the women, obviously. And I know I've talked about this in the past, but off the back of the Olympics, they got a great showing out, even though they didn't get the result that they wanted. And so it would be nice to see some representation in the United States. But this is also a great opportunity for them to go overseas and make a name for themselves. And hopefully that carries over to future opportunities here in the U.S.
Yeah, so we love to see it, especially with those, pivotal positions like scrum half now with Carly Waters going over and Gabby Cantorna at fly half, who's been playing for a little while out there with the Exeter Chiefs. So, we want to see them get that experience. But yeah, stand up like an MLR women's league. I think we've seen what it's done for the U.S. national team already with a lot of the talent that has, been able to play a full pro season against really solid pro talent. And it made our national side better already now. We'd love to see something similar happen for the women's side, where I think we have some of the best athletes in the world on the women's side in the rugby game. So, you could really own that space. But we'll see. Yeah, going forward, that's possible. You start to see some more money put into that. That I think would be very successful. You're already seeing it with the Premier Sevens is going to have a women's side as well on that, because the Olympic team and the national team on the sevens side has been so successful. So I think it's making a name, and we'll definitely be a proponent here on the pod of anything that has to do with, professionalizing the women's game on that side of things. But
100%.
Yeah, so to hop over then into the men's national team here, Colby, Rugby Canada has named their 30-man roster for the World Cup qualifying tests that are coming up against the U.S., the first one being this weekend. Any thoughts on that 30-man roster that they put out? The first thing I see, a lot of MLR talent on that roster.
Yeah, you do, and I like Ross Broad a lot out of Toronto. He was a young scrum half entering into the season last season for them that I thought was going to break out and really have a good year. So I'm curious to see what he's going to do for his country. Again, he's only like 20, 21 years old. And so that's an exciting name. But yeah, a lot of MLR talent. Ben Lesage out of Toronto as well. Lucas Rumball from Toronto. A lot of Toronto guys. Tyler Rowland, Andrew Quatrin. And so they should have that chemistry down pat.
I think Toronto does a great job of that, using their side as a kind of training ground for that national squad. There are a lot of the Canadian guys who play in the league play for the Arrows. One name on this list, Quinn Nawati, who plays for Rugby United, obviously is outside of that, but he had a good year for Rooney. Another it's Rob Povey, who played for Houston. But you do see a lot of Canadian talent playing for that Toronto Arrows side. I was shocked, Colby, that I didn't see any of the names of the guys who just got drafted by Toronto. You thought maybe Martin Feek would be on that list. But, they again, taking a lot of the Canadian talent to play for those Arrows, but none of them making the cut for this 30-man roster. I guess it's kind of an important test series, is it not?
I would say so. And, you might also consider the fact that maybe their teams didn't want them to participate in this before they make their debut for their MLR team. You know what I'm saying? So that could also play in. Like, I don't know if I'd want my draft pick to go out there and risk himself before he even laces them up for my team. You know what I'm saying? So,
man, that's Canada US, Colby. That's like that's Yankees Red Sox. That's a huge rivalry. I would have to keep those guys off the pitch. If that was me, I'd want to be out there.
I'm sure. No, I'm sure the players want to be out there, but I think this is a decision that's coming from something that's out of their control.
Now, do you have any thoughts on those tests coming up? Like, are you pumped? Do you think U.S. is going to take this pretty easily, or do you think it's going to be kind of a battle, these next two test matches against Canada?
No. I honestly, the U.S., I think we are in a position where we can't really afford to just sit back, right? We're still trying to grow in the 15s game. We're there in 7, so I think the motivation is to get there in 15. So we should take these matches head on, and I expect us to put our best foot forward.
Yeah, I'm super excited to watch. It's fun to watch the England and Ireland matches, but you kind of know what the outcome is going to be of those. with Canada, we have a really good shot. We've had a pretty good run lately against them, and this is for pretty big deal, World Cup qualifying. So it's going to be real great to watch some really competitive 15s at the international level, see how we fare.
And then we have an exhibition match against New Zealand coming up as well.
Yes, yeah, I'm excited for that as well. I haven't got my tickets yet. I'm working on it. I got to move some money around, my checking and my savings. Got to make a couple adjustments here and there, but I definitely plan on making that trip. So we'll see. We'll have to work out some sort of promotional thing.
Don't get yourself in any trouble now. That sounds like some Ozark shit.
No, I promise. It's all legit. It's all legit, Colby. It's not, you got to make sure people are, they see the money one place, but they got, you're kind of moving it over there. I wouldn't ask too many questions about it. Don't look too deeply into the podcast finances. Okay. Luckily, we're not tied to anything that I'm working on. It's completely separate. $0 account that we have for the pod.
Oh, you didn't have to put our business out there like that. that was okay.
I meant want people to feel bad for us, so they send us, we'll take cash donations. You want to just mail it to us.
It's episode 6, guys. It's only 6.
Speaking of the MLR draft a little bit, I don't know if you had a chance to watch, Chloe, but Matt at Rugby Wrap Up, Matt, we all know Matt, had done some great interviews with the top 2 picks. So Emmanuel Albert and also Eric Naposki Abdallah, both great conversations. Seem like great dudes. Looking forward to seeing what they can do in the league going forward. Eric had said they're not really reporting to any sort of camp until December, but he's been playing some club rugby at the National Club Sevens and then also Rugby Town. So he's out there, but the future is bright, I think, for the MLR. There was some really, really quality interviews.
Yeah, I got the chance to see a little bit of that Emmanuel Albert interview with Matt. He's somebody that I was raving about during the draft, before the draft, as somebody that just seems like he gets it. He's ready to step in and be an asset right away, not just because of his game, but because of his mentality. He seems to have that pro mentality already. And so I'm really excited to see what he does. Great interview, great get by Rugby Wrap Up and Matt, of course. Not surprised that Matt was able to land him.
So we have our own great get on the pod as well. We're going to bring him in now. We're going to sit down with Coach Benny Mateialona from Adrian College, a first-year program in D2 college rugby in the Great Lakes region. They won their first ever match against any competition in rugby at the college rugby level. They played Michigan, a D1A school, and they actually won 12-10 this past Saturday. So we sit down with Coach Benny to kind of talk about how that game went and what their focus was and what he kind of expects for the future.
Yeah, can't wait to sit down with Benny. He seems like somebody that is doing something really special with this team at Adrian. Can't wait to follow them for the rest of the season. I mean, their team, I'm telling you guys, this team is going to be something to watch. So tune in for this interview.
Yeah, without further ado, let's bring him in. Coach Benny Mateialona. All right, so we are here with Adrian College men's rugby coach Benny Mateialona. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time and sitting down with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So you're coming off your first win ever as a program, a really signature win against Michigan this past weekend. Was that a focus for you? Or was that important for the team heading in to kind of win that first game ever as a program?
Absolutely not. Actually, we were not looking to win. It was more of a development to see where we stand against a D1A program. We wanted to really see the combinations between our forwards and backs, and then we can make adjustments from there leading into our Michigan State in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's interesting. You guys, you didn't care about that at all, kind of winning, and then you come away with a pretty solid 12-10 win over Michigan, and you weren't even really at full strength at that point yet. You're still kind of waiting on some guys to come into the country.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the guys that internationals were kind of stuck with their visas. So we have one in New Zealand currently where, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to come over this fall. I think New Zealand's in lockdown currently, so he's struggling with the visa portion of that. But, we only took up 20 guys, and we knew right off the bat, hey, front row, you guys are going to have to play the whole game. So
I'm sure they were super happy to hear that before the first game of the season. A little conditioning, maybe not exactly at full. I mean, how much of a lead up have you guys had to this? How much practice did you get in before the game?
We had a week actually. So technically, we did double days. So we put 2 weeks into one last week, and then we had the game week leading up into Michigan. But fitness will always be a problem. You know how it is with the Island Boys. Fitness will always be key. But it's always great to have some of those guys to help create that culture of what we want, that tight knit player group where we're playing for each other and letting the leaders be leaders.
I know I always had issues with fitness. Colby, I don't think that was ever a problem for you, though.
As a back, I guess we had it pretty easy. We always had the backs always seemed to get the nod for getting it easy, but we do a lot of running.
So and now, Coach, it's usually I would say that the tune-up games early in the season, you kind of you play, maybe a little bit of lesser competition or down a division or something. But you guys have slated 3 games in a row against D1A schools here to start out: Michigan, Michigan State, and then University of Notre Dame. Was that an intentional choice to kind of start with such a strong slate of opponents? And you mentioned a little bit, but what are you kind of looking to get out of those games to start here?
Well, I just want to be able to play those top programs because that's the level we want to consistently keep playing week in and week out. To be honest, I was not planning to have these 3 games back to back against these D1A programs, but with the boys that we had in, I thought that with their level of skill and their rugby IQ, I thought we can at least compete. But it's not more of walking away, with the W against these 3 top programs. And by the way, we're actually playing Notre Dame University, the JV squad. So that'll. Yeah, leading into it. So, it's more for the guys to develop and keep that high level of pace of play that we want to play consistently throughout the season.
And then now you've coached at Michigan State previously. Is there a little bit of extra heading into that game? Do you have that circled on the calendar?
a little bit, but I know those boys are being led properly too with the current coach, Tim Britton, that's currently there. He's done some wonderful things with that program. So, he's just going to need to get back on it, especially with COVID as well. So, I'm actually looking forward to it. And, the school and the boys are looking forward to it too. So, it'll be exciting. But, it's more for our guys to develop and see what combinations that we want to run with and how we play.
And so, mentioned you have these D1A schools on the calendar to start. You'll be playing the main chunk of your schedule in D2, Division II in the Great Lakes Conference. What are your expectations for the squad in their first year in that D2, schedule? What are you looking to get out of this first year?
We're just, we set goals for this season. We wanted to be a .500 at least. That was like the standard and, just helping create awareness for the program at the moment. I'm not really looking to go too far our first year, but it's all about, setting the standards for our program and setting the culture right. So when guys come in, they know this is what we do, this is what we don't do, and this is how we become better as a student athlete. So we do have our IDP plans preseason, midseason, as well as after season, just to keep track of their development and making sure that we're headed on the right track.
And I had read also that, there's a little bit of buzz after the win on campus. Are you seeing any, the rugby team kind of starting some waves around the school of people talking about the big victory?
Yeah, actually it is. The president, gave us a shout out on Facebook, and we had a coaches meeting on Monday or yesterday. And he's a MSU grad or alumni. So he was like, I love it. You guys kicked him in the teeth. I love everything about that. So, it's great, but at the same time, so we can't really look too far ahead and focus. We got to focus one day at a time and helping these guys get right.
For you, Coach, specifically, you've coached a few places before landing here at Adrian, including Life, where you had also played. You had a pretty successful college career. What is it about the job here at Adrian that kind of excited you? What was it that kind of drew you to this place?
I thought it was the community, the staff, the faculty, the school. It was a tight-knit community that reminded me of LifeU. But at the same time, it's everyone's friendly on campus. Everybody's all about everyone. I mean, there's 53 sports on campus, only 1,800 students. So it's all about a sports program. But, you just feel that vibe of support. And, the school, the great thing about Adrian College is when they're going to start a program, they want to do it right from the beginning. So that way we set that platform for the future. So I loved everything about it. And what the school offers and the resources they have on campus as well.
So I understand you're, as a former player, you know, back in those days, was coaching something that you foresaw in your future? Was that something that you always knew that you wanted to do?
Oh no, this was there's no way I would have thought of coaching. I really had my eyes and sights on trying to either play in Europe, because at that time when I was playing at Life, there was no MLR team. There was no pro rugby at the time, so my focus was just going overseas and trying to play, get paid to play rugby. And unfortunately, it didn't go that way. So once I left Life University and met my wife, and we moved up to Michigan, like rugby kind of took a step back, and I had to focus on getting a real job. And I was like, no, I have to get in rugby somehow, and just started coaching here locally at in Michigan with Legacy, where Brandon Sparks was coaching, and he invited me to come out and coach, and then made that transition where he left, and then he was going to hand it to me, and I was like, I don't want it. And then so we're going to start a high school rugby program at Detroit Catholic Central, and then that's how I just started getting that momentum of coaching and it's getting involved in it. I didn't want to leave rugby. Rugby was just a big part of me that I wanted to continue to be part of it.
I mean, you seem like a young looking guy that could lace him up right now if you wanted to get back and play.
Oh man, don't be fooled. I'll do like probably 1 minute of running. I'm like, oh, that's it. I'm good. There's no way. All right, I'm 34, but some guys are still playing right now where I'm like, I'm itching to come back, but at the same time, it's like, man, I hung them up. There's no reason to come back. And plus, a lot of these guys, the development, what you're seeing, these guys are good. Like these young kids that are coming up, they're good. So, there's probably definitely no room for me. So,
now, do you like the draft concept like MLR? If that's something that was around like when you were in your playing days, would that have changed the equation for you a little bit?
Oh, definitely. I think for sure, my sights would have been all about rugby or even getting drafted. And, I guess it's American. It's more of a U.S. based thing where, you're drafting players. And it's great for the fans because I think that's the quickest way for, our views here in the U.S. where they understand the whole, getting drafted, that's great. But, at the same time, it's, we got to do what works for us in the U.S. And I think that's what sells. So, yeah, the draft is great. And it's only going to get bigger, I feel, just from watching of how much progression this MLR is taking off. So, a lot of young kids that are playing now are just going to become better and better. And it's just the game, I think, is just going to grow, but it's going to definitely take some time.
So we'll hopefully see some players from Adrian in that draft next year coming around the third one.
We'll see. They still have a lot of development to go. So
I was going to ask, is it more of like an older team or a younger team over at Adrian?
We are about 90% all freshmen.
Wow.
That's on the team. We have, I think, 2 kids that are sophomores that are transfers. One of them is from New Zealand. Luckily, he was recruited to play volleyball at Adrian College, and then he reached out to me and was like, "Oh, coach, I played rugby in New Zealand." I was like, "Oh man, this is great! Come on out!" So he's been one of our star players, where he understands the game and he definitely knows what he's doing, and he's our place kicker too. So Sam Williams, he's definitely one of our key guys.
And do you find that the guys that come in have a lot of rugby experience because it's the varsity program? You're able to attract more like experienced players coming up, or do you have a lot of guys that are new to the game?
We actually have a few guys, or actually majority of our guys, have that rugby IQ. Most of our recruits come from California and Utah, so we don't really have to teach them the game, right? Where I'm used to, every year it's like, all right, we got to teach you the rules, got to understand. But with these guys coming in, the rugby IQ, they already knew what was happening, and we just went straight into our systems, and they knew right off the bat what we're doing. And our leaders and our captains are definitely taking the helm of it, of really helping the younger guys that don't fully understand our system to helping them understand, just so we're all on the same page, right? Because it's our first game against U of M. You can tell there was a lot of uncertainty of where we're supposed to be lined up. Running with different pods, you know how it is with the 1-3-3-1. Guys are running at different pods, and so we have our film session tomorrow, and we'll go through our units as well and make sure that we're all on the same page for Michigan State.
Now, do you think that there's like a style of play that kind of dominates the college game in the U.S., or is there a style that you want to bring to the game, or you kind of have like the Northern Hemisphere, versus the New Zealand or the Springboks play a different style? Is there a style that U.S. college game plays mostly, or are you kind of looking to do your own thing at Adrian? What kind of game are you looking to play?
Our game style is the way I like to watch it and the way I try to mimic and play in my younger days was the free flowing, that exciting type rugby where we're looking to offload if the opportunity's on and play quick fastball. If it's on, have a go, right? So we always come back to the 1-2-3-1, but if you see space, you play what the defense gives you. We're gonna go, we're gonna attack. Now, when we get inside our own red zone, it's more of, now let's not risk it. Let's kick the ball out. But, with some of the Polynesian boys, like they were quick tapping in our own 50. It was like, Coach, I saw space. I had to go. I was like, that's great, but let's be a little smarter next time. So you can't really handcuff that type of talent where, we have to stick to a strict type of style. Like I don't want that. It's more of, let them play. They're going to see space. The defense is not even going to expect it. So, it's more of, let them do their thing. We're gonna go back to our system. What's going to work, and then once it opens up, we're going to have a go.
And so that's got to be easier to play that style when like you said, you don't have to teach the guys even the rules when they get in. You kind of just focus on finding that space.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we set on our standards, team standards of making sure like what we want to play, how we want to play on our attack and defense system, before we even touch the field. So we set those standards and made sure like everyone needs to understand. It doesn't matter what number's on your back. You've got to recognize space. Everyone has to speak up. Everyone has got to communicate. But know when it's time to get in our system, then we'll play it from there and play what the defense gives us. Yeah, so we kind of set that standard early and made sure like we're not going out into this field until we are all 100% all on the same page.
Well, good. I'm gonna watch plenty of these games then this year. Hopefully, circle a lot of these on my calendar. Colby, any final questions here?
Just really quick. I don't want to look too far into the future. Obviously, you have a big season coming up, but as the sevens game continues to grow in America, we're seeing the National League Sevens try out next weekend in Memphis, Tennessee. Is there any sort of plan to start a sevens team, or do you guys have one in the making?
Yeah, so we'll be playing 15s in the fall, and then sevens will come around for us in the spring, leading into the summer. So around April, May is when the NCR tournaments will come around, and all our boys, our skill players, like, Coach, sevens, I can't wait. I'm like, yeah, that's great, but let's focus on now first. So yeah,
got a couple guys wanting to save themselves.
Yeah, and they're excited about the sevens program, and they want to play sevens. There's some recruits that are reaching out from Hawaii. We're like, Coach, I want to play sevens. Like, yeah, okay, let's focus on that when it gets time to that. But right now, let's do 15s. Let's focus on that, and then we'll prepare for the sevens once it comes around as well.
All right. Well, Coach, thank you so much, for your time. We really appreciate you coming on the pod, and we'll be checking back in, for sure. So good luck with the rest of the season. Good luck against Michigan State. I hope you pull that one off too. And then the rest of your season, good luck.
Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it. And our game will actually be streamed live on ACTV, so we'll have the link out for you guys to watch as well.
That's amazing. That's great.
Can't wait.
Well, thanks again to Coach Benny Mateialona for sitting down with us. Again, that's Adrian College. Make sure, I'm excited to watch the rest of their season, Colby. It's going to be really, really fun. They look like a good squad. They're D2 for now, but they're playing all this D1A competition, and they're playing pretty well. So it could be a short time before they're up playing with the big dogs. And Coach Benny definitely has the pedigree. He played at Life and everything. So, but that was a great conversation, and really interested to have more of those throughout the season.
Yeah, for sure. I think those young guys are in great hands with Benny at the helm, and I can't wait to see how they grow this season. Like you said, I think they'll be at the D1A level relatively soon. 90% of the team is freshmen. That is just insane. And I think that's why they're going to be just so fun to watch. Just that free-flowing, like Benny was saying, brand of rugby that they're going to be playing. I can't wait. I can't wait to follow these guys.
Yeah, I'm super interested to see if that is kind of the tactic that a lot of the teams take. This season going forward, I don't know what kind of style that they're going to play at that college level. You saw in the MLR, there's a lot of kicking. They kind of had a bit of a different style. They like the line out. They like the maul off the line out in the MLR. A couple different, specific styles of play. But then you have the Giltinis that kind of open things up in a huge way. It took them to the championship. So Adrian has their style. I'd love to see what kind of the other schools play, when they come out on the pitch as well. It's rugby time, man. It's happening. It's all coming up. Rugby college level. I couldn't be any more excited than I am right now.
Pin the friend's gift of the what's the name with the rugby ball. Yeah, bro, I'm very excited.
I get irrationally upset, Colby, when I watched that episode a little while back. I watched Friends through for the first time, and I've seen that GIF. They give rugby such a bad name in that episode. Have you seen that actual?
I've never seen it.
You got to sit down and watch it. They have like a 10-minute part of the scene of that episode where he's just playing rugby, and it doesn't resemble rugby in any way at all.
I saw they had cones set up that were just like I don't know what was going on.
There were people. Rugby has actual rules, and there were guys just running everywhere. They did the zero research into what rugby actually was. They're like, whatever. Like, well, they have a weird shaped ball and they have collars on the shirts, and let's just throw them out there. And so
disrespectful.
It truly was. I was offended. That show was aired like 20 years ago. I was pissed off about it, but we don't have to. I've already been too angry about it now. But yeah, thanks again to Coach Benny. Colby, thanks to you for sitting down again. We're 6 episodes in, man. We're ripping through it. We're getting into the season soon. If you like what we're doing here, make sure you're rating, make sure you're liking, subscribing, reviewing, talking to us. I saw a review the other day that had asked about, the draft coverage, had some really interesting questions about why, players in the draft, and you thought we were maybe a little too positive about what that is. We'll try and get an answer to that as well. But if you interact with us, we're going to try and discuss those things on the pod here going forward as well. So, but Colby, yeah, any final thoughts here before we get on out?
We're just getting started. I'm having a blast, and hopefully that we just continue to interact with you guys, and hopefully you're comfortable enough to let us know, anything that you'd like to hear on the pod, or anything like that. So excited about the future.
Yes, sir. That is the Drink Up Pod for today. Go Satyrs, baby. Go Holy Cross.
Go Satyrs. Go Gales. What am I saying? Go Gales.
I was
brainwashing me here.
I get a little heat over here. I get a little if I overheat, I get a little
overheat.
Yeah, man. I run hot. I'm a performance engine.
You're a machine.
A really, really shitty machine.